knocking on doors on Thursday night of this week, and that's what I'm going to tell all of my candidates to do. Go out there and knock on doors, listen to your constituents, and see what the concerns are that they care about. And then we'll come back next session in the legislature and figure out what it is we're going to proceed with then.
Well, while we're there, campaigning, you just finished lawmaking mode, you're now in campaigning mode, and I'll just work down the table, and I'll start with you, House Majority Leader McCarthy. What issues does your party plan on campaigning for and against in the coming months?
Well, I think we can tout the success of the legislative session. Primarily, I don't mean to twist your question, but I think it's appropriate to talk about this. Campaigns really are won or lost first by the quality of the candidate you have and whether they match their district locally. If you've got a rural agricultural district and you have someone that's a professor wearing a bow tie running in that district, it's not likely, it could happen, it's not likely that person will be successful in that sort of environment. If you have a farmer or somebody engaged in agribusiness, that's somebody that might be more successful in that particular district. So what we did, first of all, is we went out and recruited candidates that match their district locally. We have the best recruiting class we've ever had, perhaps ever. We have mayors and county supervisors and city council people and community leaders, people who've founded chambers of commerce and created little leagues. Those are our candidates running locally. And what we're going to run on is the basic bread and butter issues that affect the average ordinary Iowan. Basically to be a party that governs in the mainstream and not the extreme. And we're going to say that if you elect us, we'll continue to focus on a kind of a what works pragmatic approach. Education, healthcare, renewable energy, and making sure we are smart with the state's pocketbook. And that'll be it, bread and butter issues. And let the divisive social issues, that tear people apart, leave that to the other party. So I think that's what we're going to be focused on.
And speaking of the other party.
Well, I can tell you our secret plan, but then I'd have to kill you, Chris. It does start with the recruiting. We were very pleased on the Iowa Senate side to recruit in 24 of the 25 races. We've got good candidates that are out there. They right now are working the grassroots, and in any campaign you have to address what people are talking to you about, and they want not just problem identification but solutions. We've mentioned some issues that I think were left on the table by the legislature that our people are going to want to have addressed in the upcoming campaign. And they're going to say, well, the legislature didn't address this particular issue, like illegal immigration. Why not? What's your solution? I think we're going to talk about the fiscal issues. I think that working class Iowans are unhappy with the level of tax and fee increase that they've seen over the past few years. They'd like to see us be more fiscally responsible with their money and not take more money out of their family budget. I think there's going to be a big issue about just how much we are going to run the state from Des Moines and take away powers from local community. I think that as we invoke more policy that takes away more power from takes away the power from local policymakers and start to dictate policy to folks back home, people are more and more frustrated by that. They don't believe all the answers in Des Moines are in Des Moines. People in Creston or people in Johnston or people in Sioux City are wondering why we continue to have these statewide edicts, the statewide policy that we continue to put into place, which is a one-size-fits-all approach to policy making in the state. I think there's going to be a huge dialogue along those lines. I know there are a lot of local policymakers that we've recruited as candidates simply because of that particular issue. And so I think that is going to be an interesting and ongoing dialogue in the upcoming fall election. We have one huge issue out there, even as we are sitting here talking today about the taxes and fee increases of the past couple of years. Already it's being raised, the table's being set for a gas tax increase in next year's legislative session. And I think as gas prices continue to go higher, I saw one analyst yesterday predicting between $8 and $10 a gallon. I think that's an intriguing proposal to go walking around and say, we just don't have enough money in the state budget to do what is a fundamental responsibility of government, fix your roads. So we'll need to be tacking on 5 cents a gallon to your $8 a gallon gas. I think that is going to be a huge issue. That the table has been set, that issue has been raised. I think there's going to be a lot of dialogue about that in the upcoming election.
Senator Gronsall.
Well, I hope the Republican Republicans do run their campaigns based on fiscal responsibility. I think we have a phenomenal record on that. We have more money in savings than ever in the history of the state. Not something the Republicans can say about any of the previous 10 years. They never met that goal. They never kept their reserve funds full. We kept our reserve funds full. It was just a few short years ago. I'm glad you're recruiting city councilmen and mayors. So it's just a few short years ago that Republicans balanced their budget by cutting $60 million out of local governments. $60 million property tax or service cut that they passed. They balanced their budget by breaking the budgets of 942 cities in this state and 99 counties. I hope you guys do run on fiscal responsibility because we can bury you on that message. Look, the truth is, campaigns are really about listening. And I'm going to repeat, I'm not going to spend a lot of time setting the table for next year. There are a few things you can guess. You can guess health care beyond just kids is an issue this country is going to have to face. You can be pretty sure that regardless of who the next president of the United States is, there's going to be some health care initiative, and that's a good thing. We're getting work as an industrial society. We have essentially priced ourselves out of the market when it comes to health care, and we could be doing a much better job. So there's a few things you can guess that'll be on the agenda next year, but I'm not going to tell you that I know what the people of Iowa are going to tell me. And that's what I'm asking my candidates to do, is to go out and talk to the people of Iowa, listen to what they have to say, and come prepared to the next legislative session, come prepared to deal with those issues that Iowans care about. Not that I think will score points, but the issues that Iowans care about.
Representative Paulson.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, the only certainty of an issue that will be brought up next year is the budget. It's the one thing we have to do. Beyond that, you've got a whole litany of ideas that different groups have, and some of which were mentioned, but whether or not those have life in them remains to be seen. And I think whether or not they have life in them is to a large extent driven by what Iowans tell the different candidates that are out when they're standing on their doorstep. And that's where those things get energy. There's no question. I think that House Democrats are proud and excited of their candidates, and I will tell you, House Republicans are equally proud and excited about our candidates.